Hello everyone, I'm Max McAllister and welcome to part 2 of my video series on how to build an epic FireRock brand outdoor fireplace and Waterwall. Now FireRock's not associated with the Waterwall I built, but my project entailed a fireplace and a Waterwall. And the reason I'm doing this video series is because when I went out to try and find out how to do this, basically I couldn't find anything on how to do this. There's a handful of videos, handful of videos from FireRock on the internet or FireRock people kind of showing you the basic stacking of the fireplace. Now, unfortunately, this isn't going to be the kind of series you're probably think you're going to see. I'm going to talk through photographic history of everything I did. Unfortunately, I didn't spend time trying to create a video series because this was thousand hours of work that took place over 6+ months, and so it would be kind of impossible for me to be doing all the work and all the stuff if I wasn't some sort of paid professional. So I'm just a guy. I wanted to do something cool for my fiance. She wanted a fireplace and she wanted a little water fountain, or some sort of water feature. So this is what I came up with. Part 1 kind of showed you what the finished project looked like. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes from ground zero, starting with site preparation. And so a lot of this, unfortunately, I'll jump around as I go on. Some of the things I'm going to talk about applied to my personal project. They're not going to apply to your project. And then a lot of my commentary is going to be generic and in nature and kind of prep you up for what you need to think about as you're going to do something like this. So first of all, if you're going to attempt something like this yourself, it is brutally hard work. Okay, so hopefully you're relatively physically fit. If you're not, this is going to be really hard. If you are physically fit, it's going to be really hard. Okay, so working with stone is not like pretty much any other home improvement project, like trying to paint a wall or hang a light fixture. This is tens of thousands of pounds of stones and rocks and concrete and bags of cement and sand and shoveling and raking. This is very hard work. You're not going to get past stage 1 if you're not willing to do really hard work. Also, it helps if you can get your family involved, because if you're going to try and do this by yourself, it will go very slowly. Okay, so really hard. Be ready. So there's a reason. So our project, we took quotes in the neighborhood of $30,000 to $35,000 for the project, and that was that was without any plumbing, any pumps, nothing related to the water wall working, no lighting. That didn't include buried gas lines, buried electrical hookup connections, none of that. This was just for masonry and stonework. We had an existing patio that was just a little 10x10 slab under our deck. We added to that. I hired some guys on the side. The guys on the side did a horrific job. Nothing was level or smooth or properly or nicely done. So we had to do corrective work in there that was involved in that. Now we wanted to cover our concrete patio with flagstone, and so that was one of the portions of the project that was included. Our small patio was, say, 10x10 under an overhead deck. We added another 12x14 or so to one side, a sidewalk that curved around and went up to the front of the house. And that area that we added was horribly off level and was a big problem. Now, the fireplace and the site we looked at, we wanted to started with moving a hot tub that was sitting on top of the additional concrete that had been poured when we bought the house and I moved in. Now, the hot tub's pretty big. It's 90 inches by 100 inches, 500 gallons. It's a pretty big hot tub. It's older, but was for us is a great size. And hot tubs you can fix easily, even if they get old and break. All the parts are common. So we decided we wanted to pick the hot tub up, move it off, create a giant open space on the patio, take the hot tub, tuck it around the corner of the house at a 45-degree angle so that it would be more hidden from various neighbors and give it more privacy, and then open up the patio. So our stage one of site preparation involved moving our hot tub off of our deck and preparing a site for that. Now, turns out this was great practice for mixing, pouring, leveling, and smoothing concrete. Okay, I'm not going to talk about or teach you anything related to that because there's literally a million teachers on the internet, on YouTube, people showing you how to do that. What I'm going to tend to do is talk about all the things I did wrong, and hopefully to help you kind of avoid those things. So our project started off literally with a slab for us to relocate our hot tub, which used to be over in this area, over around the corner of the house. Now, I'm going to kind of move the camera in, and by the way, I get to have wine now because the project's over. So while I talk to you, I get to have a little glass of wine. Now, I'm going to get me out of the way. You don't need to look at me anymore. And I'm going to, wiggle this camera. And I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to kind of point and talk from back here a ways at times. Now, if you're smart while you're watching this series, you're going to have a pen and paper. Write down all the things that I tell you you need to go out and buy. First of all, if you're going to do something like this, you need a proper truck. If you don't have a modern half-ton truck, this is going to be too hard. You can't do this kind of stuff with a minivan or a little tiny truck or something like that. You need a proper truck. Probably could get away with some sort of an SUV with a trailer if you go buy a small trailer. Of course, the reason you would tackle this project, which in the end would have cost $50,000 by the time it was all said and done with the artwork, lighting, plumbing, everything that we did, you're going to do this to save money. Sorry, I hit the light here. You're going to do this to save money. Let's face it, there's no other reason you would attempt this. But to do that, you're going to have to buy a lot of tools. If spending money in a crazy fashion bothers you, scares you, or freaks you out, forget about it. You're never going to do this. This project ended up costing us, instead of $50,000, cost us $17,000. And but obviously, that's a whopping savings. I already had a nice truck. I'm a very highly skilled tradesman. I've never laid one stone, one brick, mixed a bag of concrete, or none of this before. Not a stone guy, so this was new to me. I've watched some of it. I've worked with guys who've done it. So, so you're gonna need a truck because there's a lot of stuff you got to move. This is an easy up tent. You're going to need an easy up tent. You can buy them cheap ones for about $150, all over the place. You're going to want and need shade that you can move constantly. You're going to need to move it on a daily basis as the sun moves while you're working. So you need to be able to pick it up and move it constantly. Now, on another episode, I'm going to show you a giant pile of tools that I use that I found valuable. But first and foremost is a long level. So you're gonna need a 5-foot plus level. And excuse me. So leveling a site, what you think you see with your eye and what's reality are two completely unrelated things. The only thing that dictates reality is a level. So you're gonna go buy long lumber. It's another reason a proper truck or a long trailer will help, because sometimes you're gonna want 10 and 12-foot lumber, and trying to fit that into a 5.5-foot or 6-foot bed truck is problematic. It's difficult, and because the wood wants to tip out the back, so you'll have to have tie-down straps and practice various methods of securing lumber in your truck. Again, anyone at your home supply store can help you with that. So these are just 2x4s. Common concrete slabs, 4 inches is just known to be a common thing for most concrete work. 2x4 works out nicely for us. We were going to put a hot tub. So we laid this out, and with a long level, we're able to check that the boards were level, placing not only the level along the boards, but diagonally in various places along the boards to check for level, using a string to check for square to get the pad square. And then you're going to use, they sell this kind of stake wood at Home Depot. You can buy stakes, but since you're going to use it in bulk, you just buy long sticks. You're going to take a circular saw, and I strongly encourage you to invest in battery-powered 18-volt tools like Makita makes, because cords are such a pain in the ass on a job like this. Modern tools with batteries are so awesome. So you'll just take that wood, and if there's a long stick of it, just every 12 inches, you're just gonna cut a long slash, and a piece will drop off. So it's gonna have a flat head and a slash. Go down, the next piece you're gonna cut straight. Now you've got 2 pieces, and just repeat that process. I'm gonna need a sledgehammer, and so you'll lay your frame on the ground and screw the ends together. Battery-powered Makita 18-volt brushless screw gun. You're just going to screw the lumber together into this rectangle. Once you get it laid out and in place, you actually, to level it, need to prop it so that it's level. So you might just grab some stuff that's nearby, dirt, stones, aggregate, and level it. You're going to take these wooden stakes and pound them very snugly right down into the ground next to, right as it let it scrub the lumber, okay? Now, you'll see it, this one's tilted. That's the nature of your slash cut. As you drive it into the ground, it's going to start to curve a little bit. That's fine, it doesn't matter. Once you get it securely down into the ground, you're going to screw the lumber to the wood. Now, if you're lucky and your soil is soft, you can just drive it right down in. I live in Georgia. We have hard pottery level clay. It's hard to beat the wood in without even blowing the wood apart. So that's just depends on where you live. So if you get it to where it's down and the wood's starting to look like it wants to split or do something stupid, just stop, screw the wood in there. You're going to come back with a circular saw and just buzz them off flush. So all of these pieces need to be flush. And you think, well, why does that matter? When you go to watch concrete videos, you're gonna see that the concrete guys will take long 2x4s, and you first start by chopping the concrete. So you hold one end on one side, lift the other side, and kind of chop it. So chop, 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 chop as you slide the board along. Chopping, 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 chopping. So you're going to do that. That kind of packs the aggregate that's in the concrete down into the cement. And then you're going to come back and you're going to lay the board there, and then you saw. You literally just take and saw back and forth. This takes 2 people. And you're going to saw, and that kind of smooths the concrete. After that, depending on the degree of finish you're looking for, you're going to float it. They've got tools for that, videos for that. I'm not going to teach you that. So you can float it. And then finally, you're going to edge the concrete so that you have a smooth, nice, detailed, rounded edge that's broken away from the form and is clean. And then you're going to go away and let it dry. There's details about how to dry or how to cure concrete. All of that's on the internet. When you're done, you get to break this form away and have your finished concrete work there. Now, I rented a concrete mixer for this job, and after that, I just knew I was going to mix so much concrete. I just went and bought one. I bought a small one they sell at Home Depot. It can do 2 bags of concrete at once, and that was about $350, $360. It did the job. It's very hard for that small machine to do this kind of work. But if you're going to do this slowly over time, it's the only way to do it. You cannot mix this kind of concrete, that much concrete by hand. It's not possible. And unless you're a very highly evolved concrete person, professional with a crew and engineering, you're not going to lay out your entire site and have a pumper truck come in and pump the concrete in, fill everything up, grade it, smooth it, level it, and do it all in one day with your wife and your son. It's not going to happen. Forget about it. All right? Now, there are cheap ways to mix this concrete, some of which I didn't engage in because it wasn't convenient for me to do within my parameters. So some people will buy bulk. A truck will back up and dump sand, and it'll dump up and back lime and dump up and back rocks. And then you take buckets and you mix this all into the ratios you need to form the concrete you want and mix it around and put in a thing. I wasn't doing that. I bought pre-mixed bagged concrete. It's much more expensive to do it that way, but I didn't know if I could do, a little square it one night after work, or if I was going to pour this whole thing on a Saturday. I don't know that. With bagged concrete, I'm able to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with my little mixer, and that's the deal. Now, and it also doesn't mean that I have to have huge trucks back up, and they can't come down into my backyard. So no HOA is going to let you dump sand, 2 tons of sand in your front lawn, 2 tons of rocks, and 2 tons of lime and stuff on your front lawn to mix concrete with and leave it there for 3 months while you make your project. It's not going to happen, so forget about it. It is a possibility to suggest that this is one of the hardest sections, to have a company come do all the foundation work for you and get that out of the way. That's a possibility. Just depends on where you want to spend your money, at what time, and how much you want to do. If I was going to do anything in reverse, I would hire a company to come in and do all of the foundation and concrete work, because they would have, in the end, probably they would have done a better job than I did. But as it works out, since I'm covering everything, it really doesn't matter how pretty my slab work is. No one's ever going to see it ever again because it's all covered in beautiful stones right now. All right, so there's kind of a general idea of how I got started. Buy a concrete mixer, buy the concrete you need for the day, buy it pre-mixed. That's how I did it. Later we're going to see a deal I did with I made a loader to kind of tell you. So I'm going to cycle through some photos here. Let me see if I can get this thing to go here. Excuse me while I figure out how I had everything going. Oops, hang on. And I do not know how I had it going. I'll tell you what. Oops, here we go. Fireplace project. Sorry about this. I don't know how to take photos. All right. I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop this video and come back and we'll start part 3 as soon as I get this going to where I can roll through some photos. All right, thanks. I'm Max. Don't forget to share this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have a bunch of these coming.